we talk about the history of Christianity, it's as if it begins only at the 15th century, and then we look at the missionary project, we look at colonialism, but I'm saying we need to look at Christianity much further back, and then how does it relate to the people in the African continent. And so that is my intention behind using like the Hessian, the bone, the horns. Yeah. So there's a figure that I used called an Inkisi. And the Inkisi is basically, like a mannequin. Some of them have nails in them, some of them have metal shards in them. It's got spirits inside it. And that is used either to protect the user or to bring about healing or whatever it may be. But I was using that as an entry point towards looking at African beliefs and then saying, how do we connect this back to the Christian belief and Christian doctrine? More especially that there's evidence to show Christianity has been in Africa since the 1st century. So yeah, that's why. Since the 1st century, I mean Ethiopia, Egypt.
Yes, of course,
early
Ethiopia
church,
was where I think that Noah's Ark was found.
And then you asked about the branches. The reason behind the branches was to connect these objects back to the earth, to connect them back to nature. Because some of them inside, they have leaves, and again, just trying to connect everything back to the earth. And I think in that is where, the also idea of spirituality and with some of these sculptures is. But I'd like to talk about that one. Underlying theme behind most of the work, be it the photographs or the sculptures, is the idea of the Trinity. So this is meant to be the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. And the reason why I use black women is because when you think about society and the way the structure of society is, the subjugation of women, or the way in which women are pushed down and oppressed, there's a question about, and let's look at the way in which God is represented in, be it Renaissance imagery, or just Christian doctrine and images. I don't think the idea is to be based on gender. I think the idea is to understand God in many more ways aside from just, he's a man or he's a woman. I think, and that was one of the reasons of using women to try and highlight them in the whole process of faith. So again, Hessian as a material, I think is important because it looks at the idea of humility or humbling oneself. And when you look at the Bible, the moment such sackcloth or Hessian is used has been in times when people are humbling themselves before God. And so I think that's why it was also a very important material to use for these sculptures. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the same for the clay here. Again, the representation is back to the idea of the Trinity, but the marks on the head reference the tribe I'm from, so that's the Bemba people. And so the Bemba have scarifications on the face. And so I said, look, I'm Zambian, I'm in South Africa, I'm making work in relation to something that is very dear to my heart. So how do I connect these two spaces together? And so that's why I put the patterning on the faces.
And the Hessian?
Humility, sackcloth, the idea of reverence and lowering oneself, and then having that as an avenue to connect to God.
Where did you find all of it? The Hessian?
There was a coffee shop that just gave it to me.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, all the other places.
Does it come from Guatemala?
Nah, they get their.
Yeah, the beans or whatever.
But again, that's also very important because the idea of trade, and I think culture, religion, faith, all of these have crossed the sea, and it's not located or fixed in one space. And so I think that is the importance of even just that material and the branding. That's why I could have flipped it the other side, and we could have had it without any brands. But I think the importance is to say the idea of culture moving, culture, religion, ideas.
And then, obviously, I see that and I think of death. I look at this and I think of this scarecrow, which I guess is. And then there's that, which it's almost, again, it resembles this cross and this death and as you said, this Trinity.
Yeah.
I'm
What
not really sure.
What is the connection?
Yeah.
So the robe is made out of cotton, and then yes, as you can see, there's the noose there. But then when you think about again Christianity and the way in which a lot of African people perceive it, I've had conversations with people where they say, "Oh, the white man's religion," and so they feel like it's this suffocating faith. It's something that is imposed, and so the imposition is what I was trying to get at, where this thing is sacred, this thing is holy, but then yet seen as something that would suffocate, destroy, and kill. And so I'm saying, no, let's reimagine, let's think back, let's look at our history, and if only we knew what the truth of our history was, then we wouldn't feel this way towards this faith. Because even many times when you talk to people about Christianity, it's like, oh, okay, African Christianity. And I'm like, but why is there that separation, even in academia? Why is there that separation that it must be African Christianity? But when you look at Europe and the West, you just say Christianity, and it's accepted as, oh, this is the place that it's from. Which it's not, Because, Christian means Christ follower. But so Jesus, Israeli, Middle East. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that connection with the continent. So that's, again, the idea of death. So when Christians believe that in order to receive life, it was through the death of Jesus Christ. And so I think that's why the cross and the constant, the thought of dying and death is a good entry point, because there's also a verse that talks about before something is birthed, it has to die, when you think about a seed planted. So again, that's also like one of the layers behind the symbolism of death,
The symbolism here?
The mat.
The objects.
It's an installation of the mat. The mat represents the sort of way in which the pieces are used. Because the Nganga or spiritualist would be on the mat in utilizing them. Yeah. So again, having the Trinity there, the Christian symbol, connected with these, what is the conversation? Because I intended for these pieces to talk, but then also that Trinity to converse with that Trinity. This sculpture here to converse with that sculpture. Gold face paint.
Oh, looks amazing.
Yeah. I think I had a very good model. And the photographer as well was stunning. Yeah.
Just incredible. It's very moving. Yeah.
Trinity at the moment. But I still need to title the word. Yeah.